today's lesson focuses on how AI generates sentences with the data sets. And the inspiration is actually from the CSTA website, and I can't even read. It says, this is from Justin. Says, when we teach CS, it's not just about coding, teaching curiosity, teaching courage, teaching the ability to imagine and build a better future. And I was like, yes, that's very good. And then that's what AI should be doing. And then to create an AI, students need the CS power. Um, and how can I move to the first one? And then the other thing is, I didn't create the entire lesson myself. I wanted to build onto the existing lesson, which was created for um, K2 grade band. But this is very good lesson that you can extend to all the way up to, I use this with faculty professional development as well. So I really liked that lesson. And then because it was meant to be for K2, there was no extension to actually do the programming a little bit. So what I wanted to do is add the Scratch portion so that older students can play with the code itself and building the data. So let me first play this. Oh, hold on. I didn't share with sound, did I? Oh, Lamar. Okay, let me reshare. Hold on. Let me close this. Okay. Let me share once more because I don't think I shared with the sound. That, yeah. I don't know how to actually make it default, so bear with me. That's okay. And slideshow. Okay. So there's this video. This is very simple way to explain what ChatGPT is because we're going to be talking about generative AI, and I like this video.
You ask ChatGPT a question, and somehow it gives you a perfect answer that sounds like it was written by a human. Magic, right? But how did we create a computer that can chat with you like your smartest friend? Today, I'll explain how ChatGPT actually works to you like you're 5 years old. And by the end of this, you'll finally understand why this computer can write poems, solve math problems, and even argue with you about whether pineapple belongs on pizza. It turns out it's not actually magic. Shocker, I know. It's not a tiny person trapped inside your computer, furiously typing up responses, and it's not reading every book in the world in real time to answer your questions. What it is actually is a very clever pattern matching machine that learned to predict what word should come next in a sentence by reading billions and billions of examples. Imagine you have a super smart friend who's read every single book, every website, every article, and every story ever written. And not just read them once, but memorized every single pattern of how words fit together. This friend noticed that when someone writes, "the cat sat on the next word is usually mat or chair or table. They never just randomly say elephant or spaceship. That super smart friend is basically what ChatGPT is, except instead of a person, it's a computer program that found patterns in more text than any human could ever read in 1,000 lifetimes. But here's where it gets really interesting. ChatGPT doesn't actually understand what words mean the way that you and I do. When you hear the word dog, you might picture a furry animal that barks and wags its tail. ChatGPT doesn't see that picture. Instead, it knows that the word dog often appears near words like bark, tail, pet, walk, and treats. It learned that these words like to hang out together, kinda like how you know that peanut butter and jelly are friends, or how you know that when someone says knock knock, you're supposed to say, "who's there?" Think of it like this. Imagine you're playing a game where someone gives you the beginning of a sentence, and you have to guess what comes next. If I say, "I'm going to brush my," you'd probably guess teeth or hair, right? You wouldn't guess elephant or homework. That's because you've heard people say brush my teeth and brush my hair many times before. ChatGPT plays this same guessing game, but it's incredibly good at it because it's seen billions of examples of how people put words together. Now, let's talk about how ChatGPT actually learned all these patterns. It doesn't happen overnight like magic. It took a very long time and a lot of very powerful computers working together. The process is called training, and it's kind of like teaching a baby to talk, except this baby can process millions of sentences every single second. During training, ChatGPT was shown enormous amounts of text. We're talking about books, websites, articles, stories, and conversations. Millions and millions of them. But here's the clever part. The trainers didn't show ChatGPT complete sentences. Instead, they showed it sentences with words missing, and ChatGPT had to guess what the missing words were. It was like the most intense fill-in-the-blank test ever. Now at first, ChatGPT was terrible at this game. I mean, it would guess completely random words that made no sense at all. If you showed it, the sky is, then it might guess purple or sandwich, or even 17. But every time it guessed wrong, the trainers would show it the correct answer. They'd say, "No, silly computer, the sky is blue." And ChatGPT would adjust its guessing strategy just a tiny bit. Then, they'd try again with a different sentence. This happened billions and billions of times. And slowly, very slowly, ChatGPT started to notice patterns. It began to understand that sky often goes with blue, that cats often meow, and that when someone asks, "How are you?" the response is usually something like, "I'm fine, thank you." It was like watching a baby learn to speak, except this baby was learning from every conversation that had ever happened on the internet. But ChatGPT isn't just one big brain.
I'm just going to stop here because it's going to start talking about neural network and other more extensive part of the generative AI. But I like this video because it talks about how AI learned by patterns and the categories, different categories, and then training, all those important words actually in it. And so this is more like a starting point. And there's a new term that we need to introduce to the student, which is large language model. Large language model is a system, the AI, advanced AI system that can read and generate text, and then that is actually ChatGPT. So, and then we're going to be talking about language model in this lesson. And the lesson here is using the green eggs and ham because I actually have the book right here. If you remember, this is not for third or fifth graders, but this is very useful book because it has a lot of repetitive sentences in the book. And we're going to be using some of the sentences to create a data set that we can use to generate text. So um, the language model looks like this. The language model looks like this. It's not large language model because we don't have that many text or words that we can actually manually fill in. This is to sort of mimic the way AI generates text. And we're going to be using 5 different categories. One or gosh, what's the word that I was always using? Data sets. So the first one is the subject, and the second one is the I think the supporting word verb or helping verb, and the third one is a verb, and the object, and then I think I use the word extension. You can change the way you like different words you can use to categorize different what's words are missing the data set, training data set. So how it goes, so the first sentence is, "I do not like that son I am." I goes into the subject, do not goes into the help verb, and the like goes into the verb, that goes into the object, and then some I am goes into the extension. And then you keep adding the different sentences. Now the next one is, "I do not like them some I am." Wait, I'm confused. What was the first one? That. Okay, so the next one is them. So them is added to the force training data. move on. I would not like them here or there. Now, would not is added, and green eggs and ham. No, them, and then here or there is added to the extension. Now you can see I and like is a little bit darker, so has a little bit darker circle. That means I actually came up more, like came up more, 3 times each. And then that is actually more, there's a more chance of those word picked because it's only the word that we have in there. Um, and then the next one, I would not like them anywhere. I, again, purposely we're doing I. Um, but the do not and would not, and then the like is another repeated 4 times. And that, them, green egg and ham, and then them now is the second time, twice, it showed up twice. And so, and then continue on. Um, I will eat them anywhere, adding those to the data set. And I do like green eggs and ham. Now, green eggs and ham is there. And then there's no extension with this one because the period ends the sentence. And then, so we kind of see how the sentence is actually built. And here we will use a Scratch program app that it's already created to collect some data. Let me get out here because I need to move between different windows. So the Sketch app is, do I have it open? Maybe not. Oops. Sorry. Where did it go? The slide. This one. Okay. There is a link. Hold on. Anyways, I can just copy paste this one out. And the Scratch program here is already created. And I can share the link. And hold on. Where is the chat window? Here. And you can play with it too. But once I start, so it asks you to pick a word between I, he, she. I added extra verb, I mean the subject, so that there are more selections that we have. So I'll say I, and it generates a sentence. I didn't like green egg and ham with a fox. And it will repeat because the program is repeating forever. And then I'll say another I to show the different sentences I create. I didn't like green egg and ham. Ooh, in the car. Okay. Period. I again. I do not eat green egg and ham. So now a different verb on the train. Period. Let me try C. We didn't eat them in a tree. Period. It's always period. That's interesting. C again. C will not like them on a train. Exclamation mark. So that's how it goes, and they keep repeating. And I'll show you the inside to just explain how it works. So it's built to repeat forever. First one is to say, pick a word, then I will create a sentence for you for 2 seconds. And then using the ask block, because we want the answer to be logged into the variable so that we can use that word with thank you with the program. So, and then we are using nested if. So if the answer is I, say I for one. So each word comes out for 1.5 seconds. If you think that's too long, we can change to 1 second or half a second. I don't know if a half a second allow people to read it. But then next one, so pick an item, randomly pick an item out of a I actually verbs. I said helping verbs from that list, which is called auxiliary verbs. And the next one is pick a random, and then oh sorry, each word comes out 1.5 second, and the next one is the verb, next one is the object, next one is the extension, and then end, because I needed to add a period or explanation word, explanation mark, so that it ends the sentence. And so that's the first if, and then under the else, I added another if else, so it's a nested. And then second one is he. So if the he answer is he, it says he. And then the only difference is this helping verbs, because I takes do, but she and he takes does. So that's the only difference that we have. And then different, everything else is the same: verb, object, extension, and the next one is he, but you don't have to assign um, the same answer block, because that's the last condition that we have. So else is she, and then everything else is the same as he. And then the question is, where is that set of words? That is actually under the variable section. So this might be a little bit tricky for third graders. That's why I already created the app itself. But if fifth graders, if they can actually build the app, then you as a teacher can do the building together with the students. Now, how you make the list is click on it and then you name the list. I'm not gonna do that. Well, maybe I can do that. So just do test, and then that is adding a list here. And what you need to do is add, I don't know, bottom, so you can keep adding the word, right, left, something like that. So that becomes a list. And I'm using the word dataset for this particular lessons because that's what AI takes. So picking the list will show the list up in the main game screen. When you untick it, it disappears. And since I'm not using it, I can just delete because I don't want it there. So and has two extension, has like 9 different words or word. I is do not, will not, did not, would not. She, he, does not, will not, would not, did not. And object, green egg and ham and them. Each word only comes out once, eat and like, right? And so that's how this is created. And just so that you know, the answer key right here, I don't actually have to show the answer, but this is the ask block that I'm using to log the input. And it only logs the input one time from one that particular time. So it doesn't keep adding the word it doesn't create the list. So it overwrites every time. So that's why this is valuable. It changes every time input actually happens. And I should have unticked it because when I was playing, the answer key sort of covered the sentence or the say blocks text. So that you have to make sure to remember. And then if because I changed something, right? So if there's any change, then you have to save it. Okay. And then you can test it here as well. So pick a word. I didn't change anything, but let's see, do he. And he does not like green egg and ham with a mouse. Okay. Oh, exclamation mark. So it could keep continuing, right? So for somebody to stop, you have to actually stop the program. So that's how the program actually works. The first one though, first lesson is to use this fill in the blank sentence strips. What I'm trying to do, and the strip looks like this. The first one, it's already filled out, but everything gradually changes because I have he and she. Oh, not this one. Hold on, not this one. Hold on. This is the wrong one. Let me open the correct one from the presentation. So this, I hope I have the right one. Oh no. Okay. So I have to change the link, but let's go to this is the teacher guide. I have the correct one linked from the teacher guide. Or maybe not. Oops. Not this one. Hold on. Let me stop sharing because I have to get the right one out. So let me go to find the right um this one, I guess. Yeah, okay. Let me share the right one. Okay, click. Let me share the right link. Zoom. So this is the right one. And what it actually does, let me go back to the presentation and share the screen. Okay, sorry for the delay. And let me share again. Okay, so the the list is blank after the first page because what I want the students to do is to play with the Green and Ham app and then fill out the sentence that it generates using this list because it has 5 different data sets. So they can actually fill it in. So in the pair, one person can play, the other person can log, and they should keep repeating this logging for 2 or 3 times. I only have 2 copies, or 2 or 3 times, so you can kind of see the same sentence or similar same word coming up multiple times. And then what I want the students to do, going back to the slide, next one is to log the result using green eggs and ham 2. So what I created is actually I can go back to my own. They can start changing there, but I have something already started with green egg and ham 2 app. And I can just go and then open that up. Going to the list, let's see, what did I do? This is pretty the same. Let's go to let's go to the object. It's the same thing. What did I do? Extension? Maybe not. Verb. Oh, maybe hold on. Maybe ended the same. I have the question mark. Maybe I didn't change. So so take it back. What I want the students to do is using the list and in adding the word they actually see in the list to this the data set. So for example, if object, I'm assuming there are more them coming out. So they can actually add like, okay, so them came out 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and then green eggs and ham only twice or something like that. So then once they add their own data to the data set, and then they can play the game again. And what I'm looking at here is by adding more of the same words, that gives that word more chance of actually being picked. Because this is randomly selecting, right? So the more words you have in the list, there's a better chance of that word being picked. And so that's similar to what AI is actually doing because it looks at the probability. So the more chances it has, there's a better chance of that word to be the correct word. And then that's how it creates a sentence to sort of mimic how it actually works. And then after doing all the activities, we want the students to explore, right? So the first is they have to test it themselves. And then so you probably need that same fillable seats, a lot of fillable seats for students to fill out. So first they actually test their own green eggs and ham 2, filling it out, and then compare that list with, let's say, the pair next to them or within the class so that they can see the differences and then also compare the original result to see which words actually came out more, and then compare with the ham 2 result and then see if that actually correlates between the two. And then the other thing what I want them to explore is changing the word list by adding more like different words or different selections or different different words. Also the number of the same word, and then see if the result changes. So that's the second exploration. And then the third one is to what about if we mixed up the words that doesn't belong to that list, the data set. For example, you can add something that you can't eat in the object list if there are a lot of them, and then eventually there will be a sentence that could say she will eat the dog. I was looking for a word here and there, and then you're like, you won't eat the dog or the chair or the table. Or also in the helping verbs, auxiliary, I can't pronounce the word, auxiliary words, verbs, if you mix up doesn't into I list, then that will say I does not or I does eat. And then so you started to see the mistakes that um, the generated word has. So the AI makes a mistake, right? So then we can talk about how important the data set, the clean data set is, and the messy data set leads to a, it's not a bias, but the mistakes. AI could make mistakes, right? So you can play all sorts of different ways to, we call it breaking the generative AI, but um, make AI makes mistakes. And then what's the kind of data set that actually makes AI to make mistakes? And then once you do the exercise, um, then you can go on. Let me share because I don't need to go back and then talk about how AI is not a magic. There is a reason why things are happening, and then also talking about AI is actually a part of CS. So this one is more extensive than the one that we use for K2 grade band. It talks about computer science and artificial intelligence, AI inside, and then machine learning is actually helping generative AI to generate sentences. And then there's something called deep learning. That's where the Gen AI, sort of like between machine learning and deep learning, AI, generative AI exists. And then those are big words. I don't have the explanation. Sorry, it's included in the slide, but I can probably add some more information to the teacher guide later on. And then we can talk about what is computer science. And then computer science is the computer that the computer science is something that gives us a power to solve problems and then express ourselves, that helps us to become creative and create critical thinkers. And the other thing is like, what is AI? And then ask students to give different description of AI based on what they actually did. And this is a, sorry, I don't really, hold on, remember exactly what, uh, this is a description form from a, sorry, I have to go to look at the GG, sorry. It's all, everything is actually in here. Which website was it? Um, Yes, fields of CS. I'm sorry. The field of CS uses this explanation of AI. Artificial intelligence is a human-made system, such as a computer program that exercises problem-solving or decision-making ability normally associated with humans. And the Gen AI tool or the Scratch app that we created is sort of doing that by making the decision of which words comes next and then creating the sentence. And then that's basically the end of the lesson here. And oh, sorry, I just saw the, oh, okay. So basically Daniel is saying just leave from here. So again, the lesson is created basically using the how does a computer know what word comes next lesson for K2 grade band, but also Vicky Cedric's inspiration. Um, that actually helps me to create this lesson. And I'm just gonna stop share here. Sorry, I should have asked if you have any questions, but like here now, do you have any questions?
Oh, this was good. Thank you.
Thank you. Hopefully you can use it. And so, let me share some more information. So, Zoom share. And so the teacher guide is linked from here. So the teacher guide is linked from here. Slides, fill in the blank sentence strip. I think this one actually have the correct one. Oh no, so I have to change that. Um, and the Scratch application. This is the first Scratch app that I showed you. But when you go to the teacher guide, which is I think this one, has slide link. So the same thing, fill in the blank, and then I think this one has the correct link in the Scratch application. And it actually tells you the sort of estimated time it will take for each segment of the lesson. I calculated it's 45 minutes, but it might go longer if you do all the exploration activities that I talked about at the end. There is a document because the looking at the Scratch code sometimes is overwhelming. So I created this document that explains different segment of the code and how that actually works. So this actually said this is the first part of it because the 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 program itself, app code itself, is very long, so it doesn't fit into one page. So the first segment, before if block starts, basically say for 2 seconds, and then ask is collecting the input. So that's why I'm not using say twice, because say twice will actually show the same text, but I'm not using the ask. You can't log the data input and they use that input into the next part of the program itself. And it all explains a little bit here and there. So the first segment, exactly what I did, is actually explained with text right here in this document, and also explaining where this word list is and how to show the word list and how to change the word list. So that is a supplemental document linked from the teacher guide. And is there anything else that I need to? Yeah, all the information is right here. Oh, I should delete this part. Sorry. Yeah, that's it. And yeah, so all the documents are linked from here. Let me just change the links so that I have the right link there. So at least I have something correct in there. So this is how you do the editing on the Google site. So instead of the current list, it's kind of slow. Just update with the new one. Okay, so that should do. Okay. So all the information's here. You can come in and then look at the information later on. If you don't remember all the information that I shared. This could be a language art lesson or computer science. Possibly, let me think. Social science, if we extend that lesson into, so who actually gets benefit from the data set, and then how we can actually make sure everybody has the fair access to the AI tools. So that can be social science. Um, yeah. So let me stop right here. Do you have any questions? No?
I'm good.
Are you good? All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I hope you can actually play with it and then see if you like it or not. Um, and then the other thing is like if older students, fifth graders or possibly fourth graders, they can create their own sentence data set. It doesn't have to be green egg and ham. You can provide a couple of sentences and ask them to expand it into something more meaningful and then interesting for them, something fun. Like they can create some fun game that generates not game, uh fun app that generates this kind of sentence that they actually enjoy playing with. And then that actually and then they might make mistakes by adding the words that doesn't belong to the word list or the data set. So that's how they can actually learn how the data affect the outcome. So there are different ways to extend the lesson, I think, to do more like coding and playing with the data part. But third graders maybe just follow the lesson that I created because it's very simple. They just need to add couple words into different um, word list or the data set to play with. Yeah, so that's it.